We have Pakistan lawyer Mohammed Ahmad Pansota joining us right now to talk to us about the bill that's been passed. Mr. Pansota, thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18. What do you think about the bill that's been passed in Parliament? Do you think it's a mere act on paper, or do you think it'll have a significant impact on the ground?
Well, if you have if you examine the Anti-Money Laundering Act of Pakistan, which is a legislation from 2010, there were several deficiencies in that legislation. And I
Mhm.
personally believe these deficiencies had to be removed. And one of the most important things was the creation of this authority, because ideally this should have been done much, much earlier. But here what had happened was that initially FIA was looking after this, whereas it required a specialized agency, an agency which specializes in understanding the basics and the nitty-gritties of money laundering. So I think it's a welcome step. And I believe government, no doubt, it has been part of those 54 legislations that they've passed within, I think, a period of 2 or 3 days. But this is one of the legislations which I certainly appreciate and I think was need of the day.
Considering that the approval from the president still needs to come, how long exactly do you think it'll take for this to become a law and then get enacted?
Well, I expect the president to accord his approval very soon. But even in case he doesn't, then initially for the initial 15 days, it will remain pending. Then it will be sent back, and then after 10 days after that, so maximum 25 days, this bill will be passed. But I don't see the president not approving this bill, because it is something. I mean, not on a political score. I would say it's controversial. At the same time, it was need of the day. So I think there should be a consensus on passing. If there is any legislation that government should have passed, it was this legislation to improve the money laundering law and to bring it in line and in conformity with the latest legislations throughout the world. And the purpose of money laundering law is to curb money laundering. One of the problems with Pakistani law was that for the offense of money laundering to take place, it has to be first, there has to be an offense prior to the money being shifted to another country. So let's say, just to give you an example, if you shift $100,000 to England, and there is the amount is not of crime proceeds, then it is not an offense. I think there was certain other deficiencies in that law as well, which now the authority, of course, which is a very powerful authority headed by the chairman, and then other foreign secretaries, several other bureaucrats part of that, chairman NAB also part of it, FIA also part of it. So I think this authority should be in a position to evolve this law and to bring it in conformity with the international best practices, and most importantly, curb the terror financing part, which I believe is need of the day.
And do you think that this bill will be welcomed with open arms by the international community?
I don't see any reason why international community should not welcome this law. And I believe one of the commitments that Pakistan sort of had under the FATF and several other international commitments that Pakistan has signed in form of maybe treaties or laws or whatever. I don't see the international community not appreciating this, because what bill this essentially is doing is, that's what needs to be understood. First of all, creation of an authority. Now that authority will then give the true essence and meaning to the actual legislation of Anti-Money Laundering Act 2010. And I think this is what everybody throughout the world wants. Money laundering is a grave offense which is happening throughout the world. And even grave, I would say that the most important aspect of any law concerning money laundering should be terror financing. So wherever it is happening throughout the world, be it Pakistan or any other country, I think this is the time to sort of curb it down. So this authority will play a very vital role in doing so.
Now, the Pakistan law minister has said that this is a matter of national interest. Is there any divide within the legal community when it comes to this bill?
Well, as far as the legal community is concerned, it may have its concerns on the way this legislation was passed, because in the last few days, government has approximately, I would say, passed about 54 legislations in a period of 2 days. So yes, there can be a certain, a haste associated with this legislation. But apart from that, the content of the legislation, I believe, is certainly something that any government should have done long time back. When this law was made, initially the authority should have been made. There are several other laws in Pakistan where which talk about the creation of an authority, but the authority was never made. So this law, I think, if it required any changes, should have been done much earlier. But I don't see, as far as the substance or the content of this law is concerned, any problems.
All right, Mr. Pansota, thank you so much for speaking to us here at CNN News 18.